I'm back. I'm back with another chapter reading. I'm back with another reading from the book of Genesis, the book that Moses was inspired to write. Welcome. You're with the Nasty Pastor. Before we get started, if you're not on my YouTube channel, go over to YouTube, go to @the_Nasty_Pastor, subscribe. You can find the playlist of Genesis there. And I just say this to you before we get started. Before we get started, please pray. Please, through the struggle, keep your faith. Please, through the struggle, confide in people that you trust. Confide in people that has your best life in mind when they give you advice. Anywho, let's get into chapter 44, and the title is Joseph's Cup. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, fill the men's sacks with food as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of his sack. Also put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack, of the youngest, and his grain money. So he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. As soon as the morning dawned, the men were sent away. They and their donkeys. When they had gone out of the city and were not yet far off, Joseph said to his steward, get up, follow the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, why have you repaid evil for good? Is not this the one from which my lords drink, and with which he indeed practiced divination? You have done evil in so doing. So he overtook them, and he spoke to them these same words. And they said to him, why does my Lord say these words? Far be it from us that your servants should do such a thing. Look, we brought back to you from the land of Canaan the money which we found in the mouth of our sacks. How then could we steal silver or gold from your Lord's house? With whomever of your servants it is found, let him die, and we also will be my Lord's slaves. And he said, now also let it be according to your words. He with whom it is found shall be my slave, and you shall be blameless. Then each man speedily let down his sack to the ground, and each opened his sack. So he searched. He began with the oldest and left off with the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, and each man loaded his donkey and returned to the city. So Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, and he was still there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said to them, what deed is this you have done? Did you not know that such a man as I can certainly practice divination? Then Judah said, what shall we say to my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God has found out the iniquity of your servants. Here we are, my Lord's slaves, but we and he also with whom the cup was found. But he said, far be it from me that I should do so. The man in whose hand the cup was found, he shall be my slave, and as for you, go up in peace to your father. You see that though, right? A cup was missing, and it was found, and it's looked at as thievery. You got what I'm saying? But from what I'm reading, it looked like they were set up. You got what I'm saying? It looked like things was put in the sack for them to be caught, for them to be messed over. And I just say this to you, you get what I'm saying? People do things to you. People say things to you. So you always have to be watchful of your environment, of the people around you. You know, that was a time right here in Richmond, Virginia. You know, people was if you was out there hanging on these street corners, hanging on these streets, hanging at these bus stops, in these known drug areas, these known criminal areas, there was a time that people walk past you, man, they'll drop, you know, illegal drugs beside you, call the police on you, and here you go, got a charge. You've been set up for something you didn't even do. Now you're in a position where that you will take a guilty plea so that your life won't be in shambles, but your life's still in shambles. You may not have did any time, but you have a felony drug record now. You have been put in a position where that if you was on probation or parole and had time over your head, you can be violated. So I say this to you again, be mindful of the people around you. Be mindful of the environments you are in. Let's finish this chapter 44 reading up. And verse 18, the title of verse 18 is Judah intercedes for Benjamin. Then Judah came near to him and said, O my Lord, please let your servant speak a word in my Lord's hearing, and do not let your anger burn against your servant, for you are even like Pharaoh. My Lord asked his servant, saying, Have you a father or a brother? And we said to my Lord, we have a father and an old man, and a child of his old age who is young. His brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him. Then you said to your servants, Bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes on him. And we said to my Lord, the lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. But you said to your servants, Unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you shall see my face no more. So it was when we went up to your servant, my father, that we told him the words of my Lord. And our father said, Go back and buy us a little food. But we said, We cannot go down. If our youngest brother is with us, then we will go down. For we may not see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us. Then your servant, my father, said to us, You know that my wife bore me 2 sons, and the one went out from me, and I said, Surely he is torn to pieces, and I have not seen him since. But if you take this one also from me, and calamity befalls him, you should bring down my great hair with sorrow to the grave. Now therefore, when I come to your servant, my father, and the lad is not with us, since his life is bound up in the lad's life, it will happen, when he sees that the lad is not with us, that he will die. So your servants will bring down the great hair of your servant, our father, with sorrow to the grave. For your servant became surety for the lad to my father, saying, If I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father forever. Now therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the lad as a slave to my Lord, and let the lad go up with his brothers. For how shall I go up to my father if the lad is not with me, lest perhaps I see the evil that will come upon my father? That's the end of chapter 44. Never going to say there's no fruit in it. Definitely fruit in it. I'm going to say that, you know, it's a simple and plain, straight through chapter about the travels of Benjamin, you know, and his brothers and his servants and stuff like that. And one thing I could say, as you can see, even in Christianity, even up under what Moses taught, Abraham taught, Isaac, you know, the descendants of the Jewish community taught, they you know, slavery was here before we was here. Slavery was here before Christ was here, before Jesus was here. That was it was a way of getting free labor out of people. It was a way of capturing your enemy armies and turning them into help for you to build your land, for you to build your civilization. So I say this to you once again, you know, unusual, cruel punishment comes from all cultures, comes from within all cultures, inside of all cultures. So we have came a long way from slavery. We haven't came a long way from doing harmful things to each other. And this is the next step in life that all of us need to, try hard in pursuing is to not harm people, is to walk away from people, is to look at our deeds first before we put actions to it, to think about our deeds before we put actions to it. Anyway, I am the Nasty Pastor. Before we get up out here, if you're not on my YouTube channel at the Nasty Pastor, if you're not viewing this on Facebook, Only Faith Ministries, or OFM Genesis, go over there, follow, like it. You know what I mean? Anyway, run them numbers up for me. Pass it on, share it. There's some insight, there's some education, there's some awareness. Please share it, pass the message on. Let's make this a better place. Let's make the United States great again. And we are the United States. The people makes up the United States. So if we can respect people, if we can, how to put it, look at our actions before we put deeds to it, then we should have a better place, a better environment that we are living in, that we are bringing our kids up in. I'm out, and I love you.